Caution is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You majorly caught me off guard there, Ross. Anyway, welcome, guys, to the Outcasted OC podcast. I know what you're thinking. Well, Wednesday? This isn't Thursday. Tell me about it. I know. You know why? Because we had Elimination Chamber over the weekend. So, we thought we'd dedicate a special episode to the upcoming NXT Roadblock because I can't ignore my favourite show that goes on every single week. But at the same time, we've got a safe space to talk about a certain person that we all can now see. As of course, we are joined by Paul, another NXT connoisseur, joined by my special guest, Ross, who is also a member of the Outcasted OC gang. How are we doing, guys? Are we all right?
I'm a special guest now.
You're always my special guest, Ross, in life and on the podcast.
I was going to say, what? Has my actual job status been revoked because I had a technical difficulty loading the page at the start?
Well, I didn't want to say it, and I didn't want to. You put it out there that that was going to be an internal matter that we was going to deal with behind the scenes. But yeah, you were demoted now. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry. How we doing?
Good. Excited for what is to come.
Oh, nice one. Same here, man. Well, what a week in wrestling it's been. Not just talking about Elimination Chamber. It's been a great Monday Night Raw. Then we had an amazing episode of NXT. We had 2 great women's matches. I think NXT not only has the best women's division, but it also provides some of the greatest women's matches that we see on a weekly basis as well.
100%. 100%.
Just because, obviously, I know they try to do the best on the main roster, but the women's time is still kind of regulated to a certain specific amount of time, and then it just gets next match. But there's a lot of stuff going on in NXT lately, and most of the interesting stuff is in the women's division, which is always nice to see. Speaking of the women's division, we might as well start off with the first match that got announced last on NXT this week. We are going to be getting Roxanne Perez versus the Juggernaut Jordynne Grace. I'm going to go to Paul. I just want to hear your thoughts on this match and who have you got for next week?
Roxy's going to main roster after Mania, so I thought she would have gone up now, but I'm going for Jordynne because she's wanting revenge for Roxy beating her at Battleground last year. So there's some sort of modicum of revenge for Jordynne, and especially after last night when Roxy attacked her.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that, to be honest with you. Yeah. Because, like you said, Roxanne Perez won last year. She was the NXT Women's Champion at the time. I think this is just a perfect opportunity for Jordynne to get a win back. Roxanne doesn't need it. It's going up to the main roster. Jordynne Grace has got future championship opportunities in the future. So it makes sense for her to get the job.
Yeah. That might tie into what we'll get into that later on. I have another theory, but we'll get into that later on.
Oh, we've got another Austin theory. That's what I like to hear. Ross, what do you think?
You got an Austin theory,
That was good.
I think it's a Jordynne Grace win, through and through. They're going to want to build her as the next Juggernaut, the next person to come out and do crazy things. And I think, very much as Paul said there with the whole thing with Roxanne is she's already really shined on the main roster, already done a pay-per-view on the main roster side of things. And I feel there's more now grounds for her to have feuds on the main roster more than there is NXT at the moment, especially coming out of the chamber. She showed up and she showed out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd love to see an Alexa Bliss, Roxanne feud. I'd love to see her and Bayley carry it on as well. Even some of the Bianca, obviously Roxanne took the opportunity with a very distracted Bianca to try and jump her and try and get the one up on her. So I'd love to see that kind of filler angle for a little bit, building into Mania. But yeah, I think it's Jordynne Grace. Roxanne wasn't my pick originally to go against Jordynne Grace for Roadblock. I would have said a Cora Jade. But obviously, we have recently just saw what happened with Cora Jade, which we all hope a speedy recovery. But yeah, I just feel like Roxanne was picked to do a whole kind of story angle of Roxanne now going to get revenge on Jordynne Grace for hurting Cora kind of thing, even though Cora and Roxanne have been kind of butting heads again, being like, "Are we friends? Are we not? You tried to do me dirty for the championship." Like, so yeah, it's a weird situation, but I
Yeah.
understand it.
I can see that. Shout out to Cora J, by the way. She put up an update today saying she took a little bit of a bump. Don't worry, it isn't her knees. Her knees are good. Well, she said they're all right, basically. Obviously, she's a wrestler. Their knees are never good. Their joints are never
Yeah.
in great condition.
No.
But she said she's fine. She took a bit of a bump to the head. Apparently, there was people at the show that said they thought they could see a mime in my knee. Maybe she was just trying to do a best Rey Mysterio impression. I don't know about that, but apparently her knees are absolutely fine. And it was just a bump to the head. Shout out to wrestling these days where you can actually say you have got an injury and you don't need to pretend that you're all right to finish a match. Like
Yeah.
I think that's better for everybody, to be honest with you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's great to see that like the fans are applauding her. Like fair enough. When it comes to Jordan Grace, I'm inclined to agree. Roxanne Perez wouldn't have been my first choice, but at the same time, it's just nice to see that Jordan Grace is going to be getting a high profile match at Roadblock. I think Roxanne Perez, like I say, is going to be taking the L here. I've got a question for you guys regarding Roxanne Perez. Did you guys think that she was going to do better at the Elimination Chamber? I've seen a couple of people online like a bit disappointed with her performance. I wasn't sure why I was seeing some of that.
Nah, I wasn't disappointed in her at all.
Yeah, no,
I thought she did all right. I've never been in the chamber before. I thought she did all right.
I was gonna say, for someone who's never done a chamber match, you can't really be like, "Oh, I'm disappointed." Like, what did you expect her to do? It's a whole new territory. It's all new wrestlers. She still did her spots. She still executed it great. I think some of the stuff between her and Bailey was incredible in that ring because they really knew each other and knew what they could push themselves to do. And you're telling me you were disappointed in the spot that she did where she literally stomped Bailey's head onto like the floor? Like,
Yeah, I agree. I think she did a great job. There was a couple of people saying she was eliminated a little bit early, and I was like, I mean, I feel like she made it to the final three, right? Was she the final three?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because Naomi got it, then Alexa got it, then it was Roxanne. So yeah.
Yeah. So she did quite well. I mean, there was a few people saying like she was like the dark horse to win it, the favorite to win it, and I didn't ever see that happening. I thought it was always going to be Bianca Belair.
I said that, but the reason I said that was because I kind of didn't feel like Bianca needed to be in the WrestleMania picture, especially with this Jade Cargill storyline. I thought that would just be, a feud not involving a belt. I thought it would have just been cool, triple threat situation, put it on the Mania card, Bianca versus Jade versus Naomi, because they all can't get on anymore. And that would have been they had enough to build that story. They would have had enough to make a video package and make it make sense. So I went Roxanne because I was like, I want someone new.
I agree with that. I think the fact that I feel like with Bianca Belair, I don't know how to say this. With Bianca Belair, she was the obvious choice, and for me, she was really the only choice that I could see winning that match. I didn't really want her to win, but at the same time, I'm glad she has won because we're going to be getting either her versus Io or a triple threat with Rhea and Io. So I'm fine with that, honestly.
Like, I think that's kind of the thing we were all kind of saying. We didn't really want Bianca to win because we still felt the story was still being wrote, especially for this feud between like Jade, Naomi, and everyone, to kind of have her still have to then be like, oh, but I now want to kind of actually enjoy my Elimination Chamber win and focus my mindset on Mania. It's like, they were your girls. They stood for you the whole time. And you're now just going to throw them aside to deal with each other? That makes no sense to me, especially if you build factions. Like, that inner conflict builds stories a lot easier and a lot better. So now you're going to tell me, oh, she's now going against Rhea, which is, friends that have come up together and, know each other like the back of the hand. It's cool because it's two powerhouses that we enjoy watching. So then Io's now came in the picture, which has completely thrown Bianca's storyline 180 again. So it's really difficult in that booking for me. And yeah, I'm fine she's won because it will still be a good Mania match because she does do that. She shows up and she shows out. But also at the same time, I feel like she doesn't need to be in the title picture. She could have had this feud without it.
Yeah. The way that she's going, I think she's approaching Roman Reigns like WrestleMania main events.
Yeah, I think
like,
so. Yeah,
I think she's already had like 3. Like she's doing pretty good for someone who's only been at 3 or 4 Manias. She's had 3 Mania main events, so fair play to her. It's going to be an interesting situation with the Women's World Championship. I think this is maybe Roxanne Perez's swan song for NXT. It's either going to be a sort of stand and deliver. I don't think we're going to be seeing anything like prominent from her until the Raw after WrestleMania or somewhere around those lines. Because similar with Ricky Saints, the card is kind of sewn up at this point on the main roster. You don't want to be starting to build or debuting people this close to WrestleMania. I'm going to be excited for that when she eventually comes up. Another thing that I'm excited for, let's talk about another match coming up at NXT Roadblock, is the New York Street Fight. We got the young OG Javon Evans taking on Mr. Ego, all ego himself, Ethan Page. Ross, I'm going to go to you first. That's what your thoughts on this match?
Kind of want Javon to win, but in my mind, I still think they're going to make Ethan win because they just keep building this storyline of whatever match stipulations we can throw at them. So a New York Street Fight being added to it, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I get it. You're adding cool stipulations, but it feels like one of those feuds where this is me hindering back to Black and Gold era. There is one match type when these situations of rivalries could not be stopped. They would be put into one particular match style. And if you remember, the last one of this match happening was a Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle doing it.
Oh,
okay. You want it in the underground, the fight pit. Yeah,
it's in the fight. So I think this New York match, I think Javon will win. And then Ethan goes, I've had enough of this. I'm going to make this be done. You are going to be finished from me. His ego is going to get to the point where he's like, I'm going to bring back the match that people dreaded doing, and I will come out in top in that match. And I think he'll bring back a fight pit match at Stand and Deliver.
Ooh.
That's what I really want to happen. So I'm saying Javon to carry the storyline on because Javon needs a win to make that storyline make sense.
I wouldn't mind the fight pit. Honestly, it's weird, this situation with Ethan and Javon, because I thought the exclamation point was put on it like, a Vengeance Day. And,
same here.
And it's the same gripe I've got with this match is the same gripe that I had with the original match, because no one's benefiting from this feud. You've got Javon Evans, who's kind of stuck in this feud, not really doing anything. I feel like his momentum has kind of ceased ever since he started feuding with Ethan Page. And to be honest with you, I could say the same for Ethan Page. Ethan Page is kind of here now in NXT. He's not doing anything of any prominence. I'm looking forward to this match. Both of them are great workers. Both of them can do what they do in that ring. So it's going to be a great match, obviously. But I don't really see any winner in this match, to be honest. And again, like you say, like it might lead to a third and final match. So again, I don't know where people go from this feud, even if it goes to a third and final thing. The only way I could see it moving anywhere is if one of them goes up to the main roster, and I don't see it being Ethan Page, even though he's the most likely candidate, because I don't know. I don't know if he's ready for the main roster yet. I really don't. I
don't think Javon is either, though.
He's not. He's not.
He's great. He's great in promos. He's great in the ring. He still needs a bit of work tightening up some stuff. That's no disrespect to him. That's just there are some parts you can notice in some of the matches. He will stand there for a couple of seconds to be like, "Oh yeah, that's next." Which people will pick up on that if you go to main roster. They're going to be like, "No, cut that shit out now," type of thing. But for me, in this situation as well. I don't want Ethan Page to go to the main roster because there's the rumors of Josh Alexander rocking up. I want that feud in NXT. That would be cool as well.
So is that something that's I won't say confirmed because you just said rumors, obviously, but is that something that's on the books? Because there was also like speculation that he was going to show up in AEW.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is the thing. It's like it's been such a 50-50 because he got given obviously when TNA and NXT had their agreement, he was already being given booking ideas from the NXT side of things and like storyline stipulations. And then obviously when he knew his contract was coming up with TNA, apparently WWE extended a contract offer to be like, look, just come over to our side of the brand. You could still mess with some of your TNA guys, but we also want you. But then obviously AEW have also put in their counter argument of like, you know, you're one of the best technical wrestlers. There's a load of guys that you've wanted dream matches here. Come here. Like it's companies do it all the time. And part of me feels like AEW is where he would lean to more because of one thing he said in an interview, which is he wants to do a G1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he'd be more likely to be able to do that while he's in AEW.
Yeah, because if you guys saw last year's G1, a few of the AEW guys came over and did the G1, specifically Takeshita. And he was like a very big name in that G1. He put a lot of, shocked a lot of people in that G1.
Who won the G1 last year?
Was it Zack?
Yeah, it was Zack Sabre Jr. because that's how he won the IWGP.
Ah, right. Okay, fair enough.
But like Takeshita was like top 5. He was in like the top 5 for the scorings.
Right. I get you.
Nice.
Paul, have you got any more thoughts to add on to this?
I'm just going to mirror what Ross has said. I think it's going to go to a third match, possibly the Fight Pit. That could be the only way it could settle it. But other than what Ross has said, I've got nothing much else to add. I don't think either of them are ready for main roster. Just Ethan, maybe after SummerSlam, possibly.
Yeah.
Definitely not the draft that's supposed to be coming up.
There's another factor that you have to consider as well when someone's coming up to the main roster, and that's always where does this person fit on the roster right now? And I don't really see where Ethan fits yet.
He'd probably go into the US or in the mid-card title picture.
Which in the best way of saying it, having a character be their thing is their ego. Slapping him straight into a mid-card scene kills the character.
Yeah, he's going to want to go after the world title.
Yeah.
But I know this sounds harsh. Like I know some people love Ethan Page. I don't see him as a world champion. I don't. I really don't. I can't picture him as a world champion. I don't think he's got the level to get to that extra point where you need like a world champion. I don't see it.
I had this discussion with one of my other friends. The reason why a lot of people can't see him as world champion is because not a lot of people are willing to put the world championship on him. Evolve did that and they did it really well. AEW didn't want to risk it. And I feel like NXT did it and they did it pretty well, give him a short belt run, fix the ego side of it. Yeah, his name is an ego. He went for the world title, got the world title, proved his ego works. Like it built it and made it work. But I get what you're saying. In a main roster situation with so much of that stacked roster, it is very difficult to make yourself stand out in that scenario and be a world champ. I think longevity is what Ethan needs in WWE to have that world championship happen. I don't think they firecracker him of, we moved him main roster, we give him several matches, world title. Like, it won't work. They need to do like this fall from grace of his ego is not working for him, turning babyface, realize it's not, his ego's not helping him anymore, start doing that, get the babyface title win, and then as soon as he gets the title win, then you build the story back up of the ego starts creeping.
Yeah. Then his big ego starts like, I'm a champion. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's going to be a problem.
Bring his NXT character back.
Yeah, and that's what's only going to be the problem is because, like, Ethan's very good at what he can do, but he hinders himself on that story writing because it will take a long ass time to get that working right.
I tell you what holds him back for me, and I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. He is just above the level of being average in the ring. I think he's very average in the ring. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm also not saying he stands out. Like, and you said, like, it takes a lot for people to stand out when they get to the main roster. I agree. I don't think he's got that level of standing out in the ring. I think he's like Sean Spears, except with a better character. Like, Sean Spears for me has always been just a guy who's pretty good at wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to say that in the nicest way possible.
No,
And
I agree on that. I get what you mean.
Yeah, he's not crap. But he's not mint. Do you know what I mean? And the way I'll compare it is absolutely perfect, like, because it's his opponent. Javon Evans is very good in the ring and he stands out, and he's only 20 years old. Like, Ethan Page does nothing in that ring that stands out to me. Even his finishing move, he's done better by someone else that's already in WWE.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be nasty. But
no, you are. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame. I think, like, when he's paired with the right person, I think he has good matches. Like in AEW, for example, he had some great matches in AEW. I think in NXT, the matches that he's had with Javon Evans, I think he's a good dance partner. But I think to be a proper good world champion, you need to be the guy who is a good pairing for someone else. Not
just to add to that as well, I think what makes Javon Evans work so well now is he fills the gap that Ricochet left of a bouncy, charismatic high flyer. And every time you watch Javon Evans in the ring, you're like, yo, what really cool flip is he going to do? Or how is he going to hit this really cool move? Look, I've been saying this whole time since the TNA merger, give me Leon Slater versus Javon Evans. Like, show off the high flyers.
It blends well, dude, as well, the fact that Javon Evans actually has a good character.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He's a good talker, and he can also back it up in the ring. Wrestling is, I would say, about 85% character work and mic skills, but that 15% does count a lot to how far you can climb in this business. And that's not somebody who's ever been in the ring. That's just someone who has observed, watched, and enjoyed wrestling for most of his life.
As someone who trains, no, it genuinely is.
Yeah.
You could be amazing in the ring. You could do everything. But if you haven't got, like, a voice, if you've not got a character for someone to relate to or understand, you're just going to be bland. And no one will be like, oh, that was my favorite match, or oh, I want to go check that guy out. It's it was a match.
Exactly. I mean, look at this. Like an example, you had people in the 90s and the 90s who stood out because they were great in the ring. Because sometimes you had lumbering, bumbling people who were just there because they were big. Okay, but the problem is now everyone, or nearly everyone, is great in the ring. Like, because the standard of wrestling, the caliber of athlete that enters, not from just different sports, but from these performance centers that these different companies have, the training system, the fact that you've got ex-wrestlers there who know the shit, that teach them what they need to do backstage, the caliber and the style of wrestling has changed in such a way where it's just not good enough to be great in the ring anymore.
True.
Nah.
That's the end all be all, and that's just the way it is. And I think if Ethan Page is going to get to the main roster and he's going to get to the upper echelon of the title picture, I think his character could carry him. But again, another guy whose character carried him, but didn't carry him up to the main roster, and it didn't do him as good. Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode is another guy. Ethan Page is this generation's Bobby Roode. Like, someone whose character is great, but when it comes to the ring, it's like, I'm watching 80s wrestling.
I fully remember Bobby Roode running TNA.
Oh,
that's when I first started. It was nowhere near the Bobby Roode I remember in WWE.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near.
And that's a shame. And that's a shame.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a shame that those type of things happen because there's like several characters we could literally do a whole episode on that of like the rise and fall of certain people. Like Baron Corbin's character is a perfect example.
Oh,
Carried in NXT.
so underrated. So underrated.
Exactly. Carried in NXT, like did great things with Braun Breaker, had this cool new character, was great in the ring, called to main roster. What did they do? Give him like 3 weeks and was like, oh yeah, it's not working for us. Like,
Yeah, they didn't even try. They just teamed with Apollo Crews, and it was like, oh great, I don't care.
yeah, it literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that year that he did in NXT literally counted for nothing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Should have
Well,
kept them
anyway,
on together.
they should have kept him and Braun together, but look where Braun is now. So maybe in hindsight,
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's like, if we could see into the future and knew that was going to happen to the two of them, it's like we're happy for Braun, but also at the same time, damn, that sucks for Baron.
Yeah.
Indeed. I mean, seeing as though we're talking about tag teams, which is a great transition.
Yeah.
And with all great transitions, I knew you would come. We have the TNA World Tag Team title match between the Hardy Boys, obviously Matt and Jeff, versus Fraxium, Nathan Fraser, and Axiom, aka the worst fucking name in the tag team division. Although they're a great tag team. This is going to be a great match. I'm going to give my thoughts on this first of all. I think this will be match of the night. I think that it's difficult to say, but I think the Hardy Boys are going to be the first people to give Fraxium their first loss since they won the tag team championships. I think we're going to see a bit of a, no pun intended, a fracture in Fraxium. First of all, I think eventually this team has got to break up because, I mean, how far can you really take this? I think they're great together. Like they make great matches. Obviously, on the mic, there's something to be desired, but it is what it is. But they make great magic in the ring. But I do think maybe they've bitten off more than they can chew with the Hardy Boys. But Paul, I'm going to go to you. What do you think?
I think it'll be match of the night. I also think this could be a possible match of the year contender.
Yeah, 100%.
I know the Hardys are getting on, but they've still got it. But I've gone for the Hardys as well because I just can't see Fraxium winning. Like you said, I think they're going to break up and stand and deliver after they lose the titles.
Yeah,
maybe Axiom could unmask and become a kid again.
Please.
I wouldn't mind
Maybe.
that. I wouldn't mind it. I've literally got a vision in my head of like how this match could even end as well. Obviously, you've got Axiom who goes for like the Falcon Arrow, and then obviously got the Phoenix Splash. Oh, sorry, the Spanish Fly. Sorry, and then into the Phoenix Splash from Axiom. I can see the Spanish Fly getting hit on say like a Matt Hardy, and then he rolls out the way of the Phoenix Splash, and then Jeff's waiting there on the apron for the Swanton as Nathan Fraser lands. I could totally see that happening.
I could see, that. I could see that.
Fraxium trying to hit their finisher and into the Hardys hitting theirs.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
Hardys have got that new finisher they've been using in TNA as well. So that would really work if one of them hits the Spanish Fly, goes to climb up, and then they just get hit with like I don't know what they're calling it now because it's like kind of like a pop up like twist of fate.
I've seen it and I don't know what they call it, but it is a cool move.
Yeah. And like I don't know if it's like delete the fate or something like that. But yeah, it's like they throw it up and both like hit like a spinning cross like twist of fate with it.
I can see him doing that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you picking Hardys too, Ross? Yeah.
I am picking the Hard Boys.
The Hard Boys.
The Hard Boys. As Santino
the pop he got last week.
Oh no, it was amazing, wasn't it?
I kept sitting there and thinking, I could see Fraxium really getting the push of double champs on TNA and NXT, but I'm like, I've wanted Fraxium to break up for the longest time because I want my A-Kid. Like, I was a huge A-Kid fan in NXT UK. Like, all he did. I just want A-Kid back. So if Fraxian breaking up gets me that, then I'm here for it. So yeah, I think it'd be silly to break up arguably one of the major reasons left for people watching TNA in the TNA Tag Champions being the Hardys. That's no disrespect to TNA. It's just some massive names from TNA have now just walked out of the door. Like,
Yeah.
so you're not gonna release like the belts off arguably the tag team to watch right now in TNA.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got to go with the Hardys. It makes sense. They're legends. They're arguably the best in the game. It will humble Fraxian to realize, oh, maybe we aren't the greatest. Maybe we've just outdone NXT. Maybe we test the waters with the main roster. That's another angle they can go with it. Test the big boys up in the other pond. I don't really want that, but I can see them potentially doing that story angle of well, we've done everyone in NXT. Why don't we give the other powerhouses a go?
I can see that as well. I can totally see that. I would like to think that, again, they put on great matches. I don't really necessarily like Fraxium, but I couldn't deny last year they were my tag team of the year. Just as simple as
they put on some.
For matches alone, they climbed up for me. I mean, obviously, I already said my tag team of the year last year was like the War Dogs, but that's because their characters were on top of great ring work. But if we're talking solely WWE, I was the same as you. Fraxian just hit for me every time because their ring work is stellar. It's just the problem they have is you give Nathan Fraser a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's some hard hitting home truths right there. Like, shut up, Nathan.
Yeah, it's like I get it. I get it's part of your character, and you're trying to be this smart, kind of a bit of an arrogance. But I'm like, I really can't stand it. And you're meant to be a baby face. You're talking like you're a heel in every promo you ever deliver, and it does my head in.
Bro, he talks like he's a member of Pretty Deadly or something. Like, it's showing.
Imagine if he moves up to the main roster and he joins them.
No.
Do you know what he needs to do? He needs to just send every promo he's done to apply for Pretty Deadly the musical, because he would get a main role cast in that.
Hey guys, did you know I could have played in the EFL? Now shut up, for Nathan. No, you couldn't. You rubbish.
No one cares.
God, I could talk about Nathan Fraser all night, but I can't stand it. Anyway, yes, I think the Hardys are going to win. Going to probably match of the night, 100%. I'm glad we're all on the same page. But yeah, we got 2 World Championship matches to talk about next, guys. Why don't we start with the big boys? Let's go with the NXT Championship. We have got the leader of the system, the X Division champion, Moose, taking on the ruler of NXT, the NXT champion, Oba Femi Ross. Who have you got, and what are your thoughts?
I really want Oba Femi to retain, but the numbers game is not adding up. And I could see the whole of system coming out to back Moose, and we get a Moose win to shock everyone.
Oh,
so I hate that I'm gonna have to say this because I'm going against the Oba Femi gang. Like, yo, don't hate me. I'm on your side, but I feel a Moose win is coming because of the system.
I could see that. You've annoyed me there because I could see that happening.
Yeah.
You see my point. I don't want to buck that, but I feel like Shawn Michaels will sit there and be like, I cooked up a fucking feast with this, because I could see a freaking angle. This is another thing I was going to get into. Did y'all know? We've watched NXT, so we could talk about it. Did y'all notice who was in the top watching the North American match?
No, who was it?
All 4 of the hoodlum boys that have been attacking everyone and who attacked Oba Femi were stood at the top watching in the top corner.
Oh shit! Right? No, I didn't notice that.
And when Oba Femi called him out, he called out the group. He never called out Moose. Called out the group. Who came out? I am telling you now. I have a feeling this group is Moose's NXT's The System. He's picked these people. He's ringleadering them in the background, and they'll come out and help as well.
God damn it, Ross. God damn it.
Yeah, God damn you.
I sat after I watched multiple reviews of NXT. I saw the North American stuff happen, and I went, "This is making too much sense. I don't want it. I don't want an Obafemi loss, but I feel
Do you know
like
what?
it's happening."
Do you know what though, dude? Like, if this happens, we've got 6 weeks to build a nice, juicy story till Stand and Deliver. That's enough time. That's enough time. That is enough
Yeah,
time.
that's giving me.
That's what I'm saying.
That's giving me a theory.
Even if you hold the belt until Stand and Deliver, you still took the belt and you're still double champion, and it adds spice to the story.
Do we see Moose eventually come to WWE, do you think?
No.
You never think that's going to happen?
No.
In the nicest way of me saying this, there has been too much controversy in his past to not give him only a bit of time in WWE and not give him a full contract.
Right. Okay, but if you give him a double championship, one of them is the NXT title, surely that's saying something that they've got a bit of faith in him.
Yeah, it's faith in him, but it also could be to tick the box of making a very happy agreement between TNA and WWE business-wise. It makes it business sense. Like,
Yeah.
I am on the front of I'd love to see Moose have the opportunity to be WWE full-time. I'd love to see some storylines come out of that. There are plenty of people I would happily book Moose going against. But I know people have got their controversies about him. People don't like him because of stuff in his past and all of this. And I feel like certain people, it's difficult to clear that off your name because I'm not being funny. As soon as Moose showed himself on NXT to call out Obafemi, all I saw on IWC was people bringing up Moose's past.
That's true.
Which is shit. Because it's like, he's a changed ass dude. Like, shit happened in the past. We all go through stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you've had other people on the roster that you praise and say are really good athletes, really good wrestlers who have also done dodgy shit. Like, not to call out a name or flag anyone, but like Logan Paul stands. We're not gonna forget what he did. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, and what he's currently doing with his crypto scamming.
Yeah, but he's got a full contract, so you can't. You can't have your cake.
This is the question. This is what I mean. Like, you know, I don't know. I could see it. I could see it.
I can't.
I really could.
Yeah.
I want to see it, but I also can see the problem of WWE might not want to risk too many risky business booking decisions with that.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, would you not want to see like a rematch between these two after Obafemi's had a couple more years, not just under his belt? Would you not want to see Moose versus a Julius Creed? That'd be dope. Like, you know, like I would quite like to see that match. Now that I've said it out loud.
I mean, if we're gonna talk Moose bookings, my dream match would be him versus Big E if Big E was cleared.
Yeah, Moose versus Big E. Another good one. Yeah,
bro. In the words of Big E, his favorite matches, he don't want no 5-star classic. He just wants big meaty men slapping
me.
And that's what we need. We need him being the big meaty man.
Do you know what, Ross? Do you remember last week when I kind of convinced you that a CM Punk heel turn would be pretty dope?
I've done it to you. Haven't I? I've convinced you.
I want to see Moose win the title. Oh, I want to see it. I'm voting for Moose. I'm going for Moose. I was going to say Obafemi, but screw it. I'm going to go for Moose because why not? That sounds amazing. Oh my God, the system in NXT would be sick. It would be great.
This is what I'm saying, bro.
Even if it's only for 6 weeks, it would be mint. It'd be so good.
The freaking TNA invasion angle of having the system come up take your main guy's belt, rock the freaking TNA belt over the NXT one, being like, nah, this is the brand you should give a shit for. Have the guys that jumped everyone and jumped over Femi rock up and stand next to him and be like, oh yeah, by the way, I had like spies the whole time. I had these infiltrate you under your nose and you thought I didn't do it. Like, the reveal would be sick.
You could have like, I don't know, you can have like an 8-man tag team match as well at Stand and Deliver. Like, but who would be on like Obafemi's side? That like, I'm just
Matt
trying to think.
Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Leon Slater.
Really though, wouldn't you have like WWE guys like on his
I
side?
would have a couple of WWE guys as well, but I'm just saying, like, because of the TNA angle recently, where Matt, Jeff, and Leon Slater were helping Oba. That's easily 3 men you could easily pick. I've even said, like, I put Darius in there because obviously we now know man like Darius has been doing some TNA taping. Him and Leon Slater had a tag team together called Boisterous Behavior. I'd love to see them two come and help Obi.
I would say if there was 3 people, I am in agreement with Leon Slater. But I do think the Hardys might be busy for Stand and Deliver, so I'm going to throw like the other 2. I would probably say maybe Javon and Trick.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, so Leon, Javon, Trick, and Oba. This is the system.
Because I could see Trick being like keeping your friends close and your enemies close. The type of story angle being like, look, I respect you. I'll do this for you, but now you owe me a favor of giving me a damn title shot back.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like that. Yeah, that one's good.
There you go. I can cook when I want to, Ross. You know.
Hey, I mean, I started the cooking. I changed your whole ass opinion.
What about you, Paul? What have you got? Have you changed your mind, or what's going on?
I have not changed my mind. I have gone for Oba.
Okay.
But
okay.
I thought it was going to be just a normal match. Oba was going to win. But Ross saying the system's going to get involved. The system are going to get involved, and they're going to get Moose DQ'd.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah, then if Javon and Ethan doesn't go to the fight pit, maybe put Oba and Moose in a steel cage and Stand and Deliver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. That sounds good, actually.
But Oba is not losing for me, Oba is not losing the title.
I mean, in an ideal world, I want Oba to hold the title like to the end of the year, to be honest. But if story dictates it, I've always said, and I said this with Roman, and I've said it with Cody, a long title run doesn't mean a good title run. But a good title run could be a long title run. Both of them don't mean the same thing.
No.
So if the story dictates it, then yeah, keep the title on them. But if you can do something interesting, if you can get your chef's hat on and cook me up a nice little main event, then I'm down for it. Like take the title off it.
With what you two have said, I wouldn't be mad if it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm glad we're in agreement that it could have happened.
Stick him in a steel cage and Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And then the door, like the door and the walls all just shatter because it can't contain the meat. can't contain the big meat. Anyway, moving on. We have what I'm assuming is probably going to be the main event. We have the beautiful Madness, Julia, who is the NXT Women's Champion, taking on Stephanie Baker, who is your NXT Women's North American Champion. Now, I'm going to put you, Paul, on the spot and tell me what you think is going to happen, seeing as though you've got a little theory, I'm assuming, that comes to this match.
Yes, especially if this Julia injury is legit. How legit? We don't know. I'm going on the fact that it is legit and Stephanie's going to win. But kind of like, I don't know if you remember when Keith Lee held both titles a few years back. He vacated the North American title.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And they had a ladder match. What I think is going to happen, Stephanie's going to win. Then maybe not week after, maybe a couple of weeks down the line, she's going to vacate the North American title. And that's how Fallon, and they're going to have a ladder match of Stand and Deliver. And that's how Fallon gets a rematch.
That's
Ooh,
valid.
a
That's-
WrestleMania weekend NXT ladder match. We've seen that before, and we've seen it for a North American Championship.
Yeah. I think they're going to revisit that story of Keith Lee a few years ago.
Okay, I'm down for that. I'm up for that
I was gonna
100%.
say,
Yeah.
I'm not mad.
No, neither am I. What about you, Ross?
That's my theory.
Hell yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
Ross, you?
I'm down for that angle, but I hate this is for both belts because I think it's way too soon for both champions. And I feel like they did this because Julia's apparently working an injury. So it gives an easy situation of Julia gets recovery time.
It's got to be the only explanation. Like you say, it's way too early.
It's got to be,
Because, like, you could have done this champion versus champion angle, no belts involved, just pure out of respect. We'll see who the best champion is.
Which is what Julia suggested in the first place.
And this is where I'm just like, okay, I get why Stephanie's done it because she's like, I'm gonna put you through the ringer. Like, we're friends, but I'm gonna show a true testament. You don't challenge me when I'm champion. I'll prove why I'm champion.
Yeah.
But I actually had this being a no contest. I had this. Neither of them lose both their belts. I think they're going to play into Julia's injury angle, where Julia is going to get attacked on what was already made aware as her injury by fatal influence, and then it'll become a no contest because Julia gets the dreaded X, but it'll be like a storyline X, like, look, she can't continue. We can't do this match. We can't do champion versus champion. Julia will vacate the belt, and then we'll do a number one contenders for the women's belt, and Stephanie Vacour will still get to keep her North American.
Okay.
That's how I want to save the booking, because I don't want a double champion in these situations. I feel like it hinders both belts on the women's side. It really affects them.
I think it does as well. Like, it's similar to when like Becky Lynch won both women's titles on the main roster. I didn't think really it was any need for that, really.
Yeah, like, unless you're going to be defending like both belts, like 1 week after the other, you do like one North American, then one world title. But then it's like, why are you holding belt both when you don't need to? Because you're then holding, this is no disrespect, a mid-card belt and then the top of the card belt at the same time. You're in that both parts, so it's like it doesn't work in my eyes, especially when you've got talent that could easily have the North American title, and Stephanie easily have the world title. Like, I'm sorry, there's a Sol Ruka stood waiting there. Zarya stood waiting there. They're both in a tag team together, but both of them are incredible singles talents in my eyes, and I don't understand why they're not being used. Fallon Henley, she barely got to hold the North American. I loved that she won it, but they didn't really play it longer. I wanted a lot longer of a reign. We've got all of Chemical X, you've got Shotzi, Gigi Dollins, Tatum Paxley. Put them into the conversation.
There was a little bit of a situation in NXT this week where the press conference, Fatal Influence came out and asked why Fallon hadn't received a rematch yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have a feeling that they're probably going to be getting involved at some point.
And Ava did nothing. She walked away.
I know. Ava's such a terrible general manager, dude. She actually is the worst general manager. It's like, Nick Aldis is great. Adam Page is great. I feel like Ava has no control over her show whatsoever.
Nah.
She's the worst. She's actually the worst. Like, oh yeah, like Fatal Influence comes like with a genuine gripe, just walks away. It's like, all right, okay. Trick Williams basically asking for a fair treatment with Eddie Thorpe and with the NXT title. She keeps walking away. It's like she just keeps telling Trick to calm down, and it's like, what? No, bitch! I'm not calming down.
Yeah, like, I'm about to crash out. Don't tell me to calm down.
Yeah, right. Tell me about it. Well, like I said, like for me, I'm going to say Stephanie's going to win this match. I do agree with the angle that Ross pitched there that it could end in a no contest. But what I will say is, I am inclined to believe that this injury is real, seeing as though they're doing this match now. Like I said, it could have been ages down the line. It's way too early to do this kind of thing unless there was a reason behind it. So I'm going to say that there is an injury there, which is a shame. But as long as Julia gets healed up, she gets refreshed and everything, she comes back healthier than ever, then I'm absolutely fine with it, and she can get back any championship she wants. I'm gonna just relate to just before we wrap up the pod. I'm just gonna go back to NXT this week and talk about a new North American champion in Mr. Sean Spears.
Unexpected.
I was not expecting it either.
No.
There was a couple of hints that was going to happen. I mean, Stacks has been a bit overzealous and paranoid over the past couple of weeks in terms of him taking on responsibility for the D'Angelo family. And then he kind of accidentally got involved this week. And I think it ended up in the end costing Tony D. I know his back gave out as he was going for the spine buster. But Tony D kind of looked to be on the back foot for half of that match.
Yeah.
I just want to get Ross's thoughts because obviously I know you're a big Sean Spears fan. I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
This is the one time I didn't want Sean Spears.
I love
that. You're like, oh, you're such a big Sean Spears fan. I'm like, yeah, I wanted him to win on a bigger stage. I wanted this to be like a false win. He still loses and then stand and deliver. I wanted him to win on a bigger platform, bigger stage. But I get it. It's cool. It's a good shock factor, especially going into as we call the Mania weekend, because standard delivery is in that. But all I will say is, when you mess with the family, you're going to sleep with the fishes. Sean Spears better watch his back, man, because the rest of the family, they're going to target him. They're going to assassinate him.
That's true. They're going to throw him in a boot, and they're going to ditch him in the ocean along with Drew Gulak and Pretty Deadly, who then showed up on SmackDown, so they didn't actually on live.
What's interesting, in my opinion, on all of this as well, is I don't know if you guys saw WWE's most recent trademarking for a name.
No, what was it?
The culling.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, the culling. So CULLING.
Yeah. And that's going to be for Sean Spears' group?
I think that's what Sean Spears' official group name is now going to be called.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, that's an interesting name, to be fair.
So if that's why they've gave him a championship to build up a faction and his team, and that him leading the charge with a belt, I'm kind of here for that. But you stated really early on in the podcast, the only issue I have with this is Sean Spears still doesn't really have a character, in my opinion. He's been speaking these words, being this mentor figure, but it's that's all he's kind of done. It's not a character. It's just, I'm good at wrestling. Listen to me, and I will beat up
my guy's he's like a fucking he's a Temu carrying cross, and that's saying something. He is. Look at me saying scary and spooky things. I did that. All he needs now is instead of a massive sand hourglass, he just like a little tiny one.
It's more fucking. It's more the way you said that. I just had imagined, freaking Carrier being TikTok, but Sean Spears being because it's a bootleg version. I was just imagining him going Vine, going backward.
It's more like Red Note.
Yeah. No, what's that new Twitter one everyone's been using? That's not Twitter. It's Blue Cloud or some shit. It's
right, yeah. I know what you're on about. Yeah, in my guys, yeah. I'm sorry, Sean. I'm sorry. But yeah, he is the carrying cross of NXT.
The reason I like Sean Spears is because I grew up on the Ty Dillinger hype, the whole thing, and when it was he was built on being this cool athletic dude, and that was just the character. And I enjoyed him in AEW because he felt like he had that kind of cooler edge to him, like the anti-authority. I'm going to call myself the chairman because I nearly murdered Cody Rhodes, which was the biggest babyface, with a chair. I'm like, that's genius. That's how you market yourself. You take one viral moment and you've now made it into a genuine, really cool, interesting gimmick.
I
And
agree.
then
Yeah,
he kind of took it to WWE and it just didn't really work because he's not really attacked anyone with a chair unless his kind of new idea of a chairman is being chairman of a group. Like, it just didn't fit right. It just doesn't feel right. Like, he's great in the ring. He's great at promos. I want to see more from the character, and I hope that this group, like this faction name, if that's what it is going to be called, I hope it develops into a bigger character for him.
be interesting to see where it goes.
I agree, Paul. I think it should. See, I'm interested because this spells a couple of things out for me personally, and it both concerns the D'Angelo family. I think either we see the D'Angelo family split because of something that happens between Stacks and Tony, or the D'Angelo family goes up to the main roster. I would prefer the latter because I like the Tony D family, and I think it would work on the main roster as a faction. But both of those outcomes makes space for a new faction in NXT, because if we didn't get rid of the D'Angelo family, we would have them. We would have the weird hacker guys who may or may not be the system. We would have like Sean Spears group. We would have the No Quarter Catch crew. Like we would have so many factions in NXT.
Exactly.
So like, in order for like to make space for one to be like prominent, to have a better TV time, one of those factions needs to disappear. The Tony D family's been around for a while. It served its purpose. Take it up to the main roster. Sean Spears' group can shine. And also, like I say, with the other match that we were talking about before, we've got 6 weeks until Stand and Deliver. Sean Spears can be champion for at least 6 weeks. We can make something interesting out of it. That's my opinion.
No,
Yeah, because I had Tony D dropping the title to Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver.
Or maybe Ricky Saints goes after Sean because he confronted him before this match, didn't he? He was like, the revolution of this will be televised. So that might be your Stand and Deliver match.
I think it'll be a Stand and Deliver match, but I still think Sean Spears will come out on top.
Do you think so? Do you think they'll have Ricky Saints lose his first championship match?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Because you can't have a revolution without having a reason to cause a revolution. You can't just have a guy walk in being, I'm revolutionary, I'm going to change the industry, without realizing what needed to be changed. So he's going to walk in, do his match like he is wrestling, like how he did in AEW with the ego and everything, and realized that's not going to work here. I need to mix it up. And that's how the revolution will come about. That's how I've perceived that anyway, because his first match, even then, you saw the shades of him not really wanting to tag people in, being more him, being more, I'm going to be the spotlight. And it didn't really work in the match's favor for him when he was tagging. That's how I read the match anyway. I don't know if you guys felt the same.
I can see that. I can see that. Because Ricky, at the moment, Ricky's character is literally walking around observing how mean everyone is. And I'm like, okay, that was funny for the first week. Can we add this now? That'd be good. I would like that. Although, I don't know. I could see him winning the first championship. I really could. I could see that happening. I could see that definitely being a thing. But I can also see what you're saying there, it being a case of he loses his first go around. You know, he needs to readjust, rebuild, and like changes his approach.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Stand and Deliver because you've got a lot of opportunities here to make some great matches, conclude some great feuds, give people some swan songs and like goodbye moments before they go up to the main roster. I'm excited for it. Has anyone got any last minute thoughts on this week's NXT or coming up for Roadblock?
Yeah, the last thing I was going to put out was, as we were saying, these kind of like swan songs and everything. I don't know if you guys seen that after Mania, it has been confirmed we are going to get 2 weeks of drafts. So definitely stand and deliver. Keep your eyes out of potentially final matches in NXT because of call-ups. So I think, yeah. So I think Roadblock is going to be the finale, and then stand and deliver for some of these characters will be their epilogue before going into, main roster or past as new.
Well, like I say, I can see two of those people being the D'Angelo family and Roxanne Price. Yeah. Any more thoughts, Paul?
No.
Nice one, sweet. Well, thanks guys for tuning in for the NXT Roadblock podcast. It has been a special episode. You were going to be getting another one tomorrow, recapping Elimination Chamber, because like I said, there's been so much wrestling this week, we couldn't contain it with one podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up so you never miss an episode. Also click that bell, go and subscribe to our YouTube, like I just said, or go follow us on TikTok, X, and Instagram at Outcasted OC. But for now, guys, I hope you have an absolutely amazing Wednesday, and we'll see you tomorrow for Thursday, and then whenever after that. Peace out.